What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Alex. Welcome to Alex Sports Talk and Bets. And we got to recap this Indiana championship from the college football playoff because everything is narratives now. And I don't like this narrative people are trying to run with Indiana. I'm not an Indiana fan, I'm just being honest. This whole narrative that Indiana only won because they have older players, because they have a lot of fourth, fifth, and sixth year seniors, and their average team age is 23. Quite frankly, that's bullcrap. And here's my thing, right? If being an older team meant anything, then how come no one in their preseason poll had Indiana winning the championship? I don't even think Indiana was ranked in the preseason polls. They damn sure weren't in the top 15. If they were, they were at the very bottom. But I'm pretty sure they weren't ranked. They damn sure were not top 15. My point is, you could have talked to anyone. You could even talk to an Indiana fan, and nobody would have told you this team was going to win the championship. And they always had the same team age. They always had an average age of 23. They always had a team full of fourth, fifth, and sixth year seniors, right? The thing is, nobody cared, and it didn't matter until a team constructed like that finally won the championship. Now, the new narrative is, oh, well, all the other schools are going to start looking at their high school recruits and saying, well, why are we paying you money and what are we fighting over you guys for and paying y'all the big bucks? We should just go out here and get a team full of fourth, fifth, and sixth year seniors. Here's the problem with that. A team of fourth, fifth, and sixth year seniors pretty much never really won until this year. So if you don't have Kirk Cignetti coaching, who for whatever reason people don't want to give credit to, now maybe Cignetti specifically in his system figure something out about having older, more experienced players with proven production who may or may not be an NFL talent, but they're a really good college football player. Versus no matter the stars of a high school recruit, because I tell people all the time, stars don't matter. Like when you actually play sports and you were recruited, you understand that, right? Stars matter in the sense of obviously you're going to get offers the better school, access to better facilities, and you're going to make more NIL money now. Like it matters in that aspect. But as far as what you're going to do in your college career, and rather than not you're going to make it pro, it doesn't really matter. What people don't talk about enough is a lot of NFL players are 3 and 4 star players. There's way more 3 and 4 star players than 5 star players in the NFL. A lot of 5 star players bust. Now, a lot of them do go to the NFL too, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them bust, right? A lot more 3 and 4 star players play up, especially 3 stars. 3 star players are the sweet spot. There's a lot of 3 star players in the NFL. You go right program, you get developed quick. You got slept on because what a lot of y'all don't get is to be 5 stars in high school is not all about how talented you are, right? A lot of it is politics. What high school did you go to? Did you go to a private school where they recruit kids? An all boys academy or something like that, like a CBA or Spalding or what's that other school? FIL or I can't think of it in Florida, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Dear Mater or something like that. If you go to one of those schools, you could come off the bench and probably gonna have 4 or 5 stars, right? But if you go to your local public school, y'all still play on a field that's 60% dirt, right? You can run for 2,000 yards, whereas the dude who's at Spalding, for example, might only run for 1,000, but he's still going to get better offers than you. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a better player, right? But because he goes to a bigger school and they play bigger teams, the scouts are already there. They see him, they trust him, they trust their coach. It's politics, right? Because he's at Spalding, he got to go to elite camp, so people got to see him compete against better competition even in the competition he was already playing, because you go to public school and your family doesn't have any money, you can't go to the elite camp. So all they do is see you dominating other public schools, which I'm not going to say doesn't matter, right? But unless you're like record breaking, right? There might be other good players on your team, whatever the case may be. You're probably not going to get the 5 stars, especially if you can't afford to go to those elite camps or have someone who's got you access to them. So I say all that to say, I say all that to say you're taking a chance on high school athletes. There's a lot of variables with them. There's a lot less variables when you look at players who just have production, but it can backfire on you, right? Because like I said, having older players isn't new. Last year, right? For example, let's take Syracuse and Miami. Last year, Miami, and we talking about older players, their quarterback is not even in class anymore, but I digress. Last year, Miami had a tight end who was like 26, 27 years old. Not only did that not help them win, because, you know, they didn't go to the national championship last year. They didn't even make the college football playoff last year. But They lost that game. Syracuse beat them that year, even though they had the older team. It's never mattered till now. Is my point. There's so many examples of old ass players still playing college football and not winning. So if that becomes the new theory, I think that's going to work out in the favor of the coaches who still rely on bringing in as much high school talent as possible and developing it. Because, like I said, sometimes it goes in the opposite. Sticking to the Syracuse Miami example, but moving over to Syracuse, Syracuse had a defensive end they brought in, paid a nice amount of money, David Reese, who was supposed to come in and boost the pass rush. He always had 6 sacks a year. This year he had like 2. Now, is that all his fault? No, right? A lot of that had to do with his coaching. But my point is, if you're not Curt Cignetti, you don't know if this strategy is going to work. Just because it worked for him doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. Other people have tried this. It's not a brand new idea. There's been plenty of experienced teams that didn't get the job done. Now, if I had to lean on an experienced team versus an inexperienced team, I would give my edge to the experienced teams, just like in college basketball. Most of the teams that win, unless they have like a top 3, top 5 NBA pick level freshman, most of the teams that win in NCAA are constructed of older teams with players who may or may not be going to the pros, but they've played together for a long time and they're very good and they know each other. Those are the teams that are usually in the Final Four. Not the teams with the hot shot freshman, unless that hot shot freshman is so dominant, which is even harder to do in football because football is more about physicality. It's a grown man's game. So obviously you think in your head, okay, if I got an older team, that's better. Everybody knows having an older team is better in most cases. But that don't mean you're going to win a national championship or even get close to it just because your team is older. This idea that, Indiana had older players and that gave them some type of advantage is nonsense. Indiana got older players and they won because Curt Cignetti is a great coach. And he got productive players and he put them in position to be productive. It's as simple as that. Y'all making it into this whole big conspiracy theory. And, the other schools are going to start doing that. LSU has a bunch of recruits right now. Look, the best gems come for those who stay till the end. LSU has a bunch of recruits right now for football. They've got Lane Kiffin. I guarantee you LSU doesn't win the championship next year. I can almost promise you they won't. They're not going to win. Lane Kiffin never gets the job done. And remember that. And they got all these older players. Everybody's going to try to do it because it worked for Cignetti. And like I said, I think the schools that continue to just grab up all those freshmen who are being ignored because everybody's trying to get these 4th, 5th, and 6th year players with them extra COVID years, let them do that. You keep stealing up young talent, get them locked in, get them locked into the community. Because believe it or not, a lot of recruits pick and stay at schools based on a lot of things outside of money. Rather people believe that or not, that's just the reality of the situation. But either way, I think those coaches who stick to that route are going to go a lot further in the long run. That's my thoughts on that, y'all. I'm Alex, and I am out. Peace.